Welcome back to another YouTube Tuesday. My name is Derek. Today I'm going to share with you a channel that I came across that has a lot of different teardowns. Sometimes it's good to have an idea about how a specific device comes apart, especially if you haven't worked on one before. And chances are the channel that we're going to be watching a video from today has done a teardown on the device that you haven't worked on. That channel is PBKreviews. They joined YouTube back in 2006. Have over 67 million views, about 250,000 subscribers, and are approaching 900 videos. Today we're going to take a look at their most recent video so that you can get an idea of what to expect from this channel.
In this video, we'll be taking apart the Samsung Galaxy A26 5G. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and click on the notification bell so you'll be notified once I upload a new video. Also, if you need any tools, there are links in the description. Starting off, we'll remove the SIM tray. Looking at the SIM tray, we can see a gray rubber gasket around the opening. At this point, heat needs to be applied to the back plate using either a hairdryer or a heat gun to loosen up the adhesive underneath, and then a pry tool can be used to pry the back plate off. I prefer to use a hairdryer since there's less of a chance of damaging any of the components inside by overheating them. Here's a better look at the glass backplate. The camera lens cover can be replaced by applying heat and gently prying it off. So you don't have to take apart the phone to replace that. There are now 16 Phillips screws which need to be removed.
So far, as you can see, it's very simple. Everything's broken down in a very concise way. The editing is quick and to the next point. I found that they're definitely the type of videos where you can quickly basically glaze through them so that you can have a general idea about how the phone will come apart for whatever repair you're doing.
Taking a look at the top plastic motherboard cover, we can see antenna lines drawn, which are the light gray color lines, as well as the NFC antenna. There is also graphite film to help transfer heat. Taking a look at the other side, we see that the graphite film extends over the motherboard. This is the speaker assembly. At this point, the battery cable can be disconnected, followed by the rest of the cables. And just to note, this flex cable connects the main board to the subboard, as well as the flex cable for the screen. So if you needed to replace the screen, you'd remove the back plate, the screws on the bottom speaker assembly and the speaker assembly itself, giving you access to disconnecting the flex cable for the screen, at which point you would lift up and peel off the flex cable for the screen from the subboard, heat up the front of the phone where the screen is to loosen up the adhesive underneath, pry the old screen off, apply new adhesive, reapply the new screen making sure you run the flex cable back to the opening in the mid-frame, and reassemble the phone.
Unlike a channel like Jerry Everything, I can tell that he doesn't just destroy phones just to destroy them. He's actually going to be able to put this back together and reuse it. I think that's why he just did an explanation of how to replace the display instead of actually showing how it would come off, because on this model that would be a little bit more work than you'd probably want to do if you're not trying to potentially break the phone.
The coaxial cables can be disconnected by just popping them off. There is a single Phillips screw holding down the motherboard. Taking a look at the main board, we see the 8 megapixel ultra-wide lens, the 50 megapixel primary, and a 2 megapixel macro lens. The main camera is the only one with OIS or optical image stabilization. As for the camera connectors, those can be disconnected by just popping them off. The LED flash is located here, and there's a secondary microphone on the top. Looking at the other side, we have a better look at the 13 megapixel front facing camera, the ambient light sensor, the SIM and memory card reader, as well as a graphite pad on the back shield to help transfer heat. We can also see the two other connectors for the cameras. Once the graphite film has been peeled back, we see thermal pads on top of these chips, as well as the processor. Here's a better look at the processor with the thermal pad removed. To remove the fingerprint scanner and power button, there are 2 Phillips screws which need to be removed that are holding on a metal cover holding it in place. At this point, the rubber gasket and button assembly can be lifted out of the frame. Here's a look at that.
It's good to know beforehand what types of repairs you can actually perform on some models. For example, some of the buttons on the side are only located or only accessible if you remove the display side of things on certain models, making it not as practical to do those type of repairs. So I'm glad that he's showing how to remove, like this button, as it's one of those that's going to be more common to be replaced if any of the buttons need to be replaced on this model.
To remove the battery, there is a pull pouch provided to help you pry it off. This pull pouch for the battery is like the previous generation pull pouches and not like the newer one they use on the A56. This is the 5000 mAh battery. Now that the battery has been removed, we can see white graphite film over the 3D layer of graphite underneath, which runs underneath the battery as well as the motherboard to help transfer heat. So there is no vapor chamber on this phone. There's a single Phillips screw which is holding down the subboard. Looking at the subboard, we see the primary microphone located here, as well as a charger port with a rubber gasket around it. And here's a look at the other side. The vibrator motor is located on the bottom corner, which is held down with some adhesive. So if you wanted to replace that, just apply some heat and gently pry it off. There's a mesh filter and rubber gasket over the speaker opening on the frame, as well as the microphone openings. Also on this phone, if you were to accidentally insert a semi-ejector tool in the wrong hole, you don't need to worry since both the filters and the microphones are seated above the holes and they wouldn't get damaged. To replace the flex cable for the volume keys, just gently peel it off the frame and lift up and pull out the metal bracket which is holding it in place. As for the volume button, that can be pulled out. And finally, the earpiece speaker is located on top, which is also held down with some adhesive. For the repairability score on this phone, I give it a 9 out of 10. Now it's time to...
So yeah, it's very simple, very clear, very precise. Kind of everything that you're looking for when it comes to a teardown video. And giving it a repairability score of 9, this is going to be an easy device for really anyone to work on, even for a DIY enthusiast.
put the phone back together.
And I really like that he just does the reassembly real quick instead of having to walk us through all of that again, as it's not really necessary. If you can get it to that point, you definitely can reverse it.
Once everything's back in place, apply new adhesive and reapply the back cover. Flip over the phone, power it on, and you're done. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, so that's super concise, kept everything short, really only mentioned anything that was kind of important to know. The Samsung A series are typically like this, nice and easy to repair. But he definitely shows how straightforward the repairs are going to be. And he's a great source for those teardown guides when you haven't worked on a specific model before. Chances are he has. So let me know if there's a channel that you found that I haven't covered before, or maybe even just a specific video. Thanks a ton for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.